All right, welcome to the Resource Nexus podcast. Let's dive right in. It's never too early to look ahead, so today we're diving into the 2025-26 college basketball season with some way too early rankings of the top teams and players. I've analyzed all the projected returners, assuming the NCAA doesn't suddenly approve a fifth-year eligibility for current seniors. This list focuses on those currently outside the top 40 in NBA draft projections, and of course it's powered by our ADJeff rankings, plus we're factoring in some projected freshmen who could shake things up. Now, the players we removed, they were all in ESPN's recent Intel-driven mock draft, so we're working with realistic returner projections here. With such a massive senior class expected to graduate and the COVID super seniors moving on, the talent pool might be a little thinner next season. But don't sleep on the impact of the transfer portal. Competition will be more fierce than ever, with fewer potential transfers. This is also the first season in a while freshmen may fare better with no super senior class. If there's one constant in modern college basketball, it's that transfers will reshape the landscape in the next few months. Schools like Auburn and Gonzaga are ranked lower right now because they don't have many proven, highly ranked returners. But let's be real, that's almost guaranteed to change once portal season kicks in. These rankings are based on the most up-to-date info we have as of late February, along with my own projections. College basketball is as unpredictable as ever. Rosters shift constantly. That's why we'll be updating these rankings as we move into the off-season. Last year, I had my rankings out June 1st. And just to be clear, this isn't just about returning ADJeff scores. We've also factored in coaching and continuity scores, but make no mistake, ADJeff is the main guidepost here. And we didn't stop there. We also took a deep dive into the top 600 projected returners and some big-name incoming freshmen, guys like Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBansa, and Darren Peterson. We even assigned projected ADJeff scores to the top 50 incoming freshmen, highlighting those expected to make an immediate impact next season. These young guys, combined with returning talent, are going to define another wild year in college basketball. And of course, everything will shift once the portal season starts. But that's part of the fun, right? This is just a thought exercise to see where we stand before we head into the madness. All right. Let's dive right in with the expected top team in college basketball for the 2025-26 season, Purdue. They're coming in at number 1 in the ADJeff team rankings, scoring a solid 5.0, higher than anyone last season as well. And when you look at their roster and who's coming back, it's pretty clear why they're at the top. Purdue's got a lot of firepower returning. Let's talk about Trey Kaufman-Renn. This guy is ranked second nationally among projected returners with an ADJeff score of 6.3. That's a massive number equivalent to what Broom and Sears had last preseason. He's not just good, he's a game changer. Kaufman-Renn has the size, the skill, and the IQ to not only dominate, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. If you're a coach facing Purdue next season, you better have a solid plan for him. Right behind him is Braden Smith, ranked third nationally among returners with a 5.4 ADJeff score. This kid is a natural playmaker. His court vision, elite. He's the engine that runs Purdue's offense. If he takes another step forward this season, watch out. Smith is definitely one of those guys who makes everyone around him better. He could be the one pushing Purdue to even greater heights next year. And don't sleep on Fletcher Lawyer, ranked 71st with a 3.8 ADJeff score. This kid's a sharpshooter, currently at 46%. When he heats up, watch out. His ability to space the floor is going to be huge, especially with Kaufman-Renn and Smith drawing attention. Purdue is also bringing back C.J. Cox, ranked 103rd, with a 3.5 ADJeff score. He's not flashy, but he's a solid contributor and adds depth to their lineup. Depth is key, and I love what they got in the wings. Camden Hyde, ranked 261st with a 2.4 ADJeff score, and Miles Colvin sitting at 327th with a 2.1 score. Both have potential to step up. That's the beauty of Purdue's roster. They've got a strong core of players that can return as deep as I've seen in 4 years doing this. With all this returning talent, it's no wonder Purdue's at the top of the rankings. They've got a mix of experience, star power, continuity, and potential. This team could absolutely be something special. I've had my questions about Matt Painter and his reluctance to dive into the transfer portal, but you can't argue with the results and building within. He recruits to his system and style, and that's led to sustained success. And Purdue doesn't lose many players to the portal. They don't bleed transfers like other schools. It's impressive. Painter sticks to what works, and it's clearly paying off. Purdue is without a doubt the team to watch in 2025-26. As of now, they're easily number one for me, and it's hard to see anyone knocking them off that spot unless they have defections. Let's move on to our number 2 team in the ADJeff rankings, Houston. They're sitting with a 4.6 team score and are looking like a powerhouse once again. What's interesting is the mix they've got going on with returning talent and some seriously impactful freshmen. Houston's going to be tough, no doubt. Let's start with the newcomers. Chris Cenac Jr. is leading the charge with a projected 4.7 ADJeff score, straight out of high school as the 7th best 5-star. This kid's got serious potential. His athleticism and defensive versatility make him a perfect fit for Houston's gritty, hard-nosed system. Cenac Jr. is one of those guys who's built for Houston's style and with more size than they typically have. Alongside him is Isaiah Harwell with a projected 4.5 ADJeff score. He's another guy who can make an immediate impact. Houston's known for developing tough two-way players, and Harwell fits that mold perfectly. But let's not forget about the returners poised for big things. They have a core to go with the 5 stars I would argue is more important. Emmanuel Sharp comes in at 44th nationally with a 4.2 ADJeff score. This guy is a lethal shooter at 43% from 3. If he gets hot, he's going to be a nightmare for defenses. Sharp is absolutely a guy to watch. Right alongside him is Joseph Tugler, ranked 39th with the same 4.2 score. He's the type of player who does all the dirty work, physicality, rebounding, you name it. He's the guy who sets the tone in the front court. It's possible he could declare for the draft. He's right on the cutoff line for me. Tugler is one of those players that doesn't always get the headlines, but is so vital to what Houston does. And then you've got Milos Uzan and Terrence Arsenault, both with 4.1 ADJeff scores, ranked 50th and 49th respectively. Uzan's playmaking ability and Arsenault's defensive intensity make them invaluable. Those two bring a whole different level of versatility and toughness. They're exactly what you need in Kelvin Sampson's system. The system is really the star, and they normalize physicality. If I'm being honest, and I think they get away with too much. With all this talent, Houston is stacked. They've got depth, continuity, athleticism, and a proven track record of developing players in their system. If these guys come together, they're going to be a serious force in 2025 to 2026, like always. And just like that, Houston is back in the mix. They're loaded and ready for another deep run. Let's shift gears to number 3 in the ADJeff rankings, Arizona. They're coming in strong with a 4.8 team score, and they've got a dynamic mix of fresh talent and returners who are ready to step up. Arizona is one of those teams that's always tough to handle. Leading the charge is high school standout Dwayne Aristoti with a 4.4 projected ADJeff score based on the recruiting ranking. Aristoti should be an immediate impact player, and Arizona's system thrives on dynamic playmakers, so he fits that role perfectly. But Arizona isn't just relying on freshmen. KJ Lewis returns with a 3.9 ADJeff score, ranked 61st among returners. He's a versatile wing who can defend multiple positions and score in transition. Lewis is another player who could take a huge step this season. If he develops into a consistent scorer and defender, Arizona's going to be hard to stop. And let's not forget Jaden Bradley, ranked 88th with a 3.6 score. He's a floor general, playmaker, and leader for the backcourt. Arizona's offense is going to flow through him. Bradley's growth is key for Arizona's continued success. If he can control the tempo and create for others, this team is going to be a lot more dangerous. Rounding out the group is Anthony Del Orso, ranked 102nd with a 3.5 ADJeff score. He's got a high basketball IQ and a great shooting touch. His ability to space the floor and knock down deep shots is going to be huge for Arizona's offensive flow. When you combine their explosive freshmen with these returners, Arizona is set for another big year. Duke checks in at number 4 in the ADJeff team rankings with a team 4.3 score. They're not just bringing back talent, they're adding serious star power with their incoming freshman class. Leading the way is Cameron Boozer, the top high school recruit with a 5.5 ADJeff score. The same as Harper and Flagg this year. This kid's a game changer. With his combination of size, skill, and basketball IQ, he's expected to make an immediate impact. Boozer has all the tools to be a one-and-done lottery pick. Right behind him is Shelton Henderson, another high-profile freshman with a 4.3 projected ADJeff score. Henderson's going to fit right in. And then there's Caden Boozer, the other Boozer, coming in with a projected 3.6 ADJeff score. He's ranked lower than his brother, but don't let that fool you. He's a crafty guard with great vision and, most importantly, continuity with his brother. The Boozer duo is going to be fun to watch. Zion James returns potentially with a 3.4 ADJeff score, ranked 116th nationally. He brings leadership and experience to this young squad. James's defensive versatility and playmaking will provide stability in key moments. I see him more as jack of all trades next year than on the ball, but it's nice to have a proven point guard back. James is the kind of player who can steady things when the game gets tight, and Duke's got more depth to work with too. Tyrese Proctor has an ADJeff at 3.0, Malik Brown with 2.4, and Caleb Foster rounding it out at 2.1. That depth gives them a mix of athleticism, shooting, and defensive prowess. Now, Brown had a 4.6 ADJeff rating 2 years ago at Syracuse, so he's capable of more. Proctor has never graded out well, but he's lower this year because of the competition he's faced. The ACC is like a mid-major league. He's been higher in my adjusted ratings as well, although always lower than the national consensus. With this blend of star freshmen and solid returners, Duke is locked and loaded for another big season. They've got size, speed, and scoring ability at every position. If Coach Shire can get them to play as a cohesive unit, Duke is going to be a problem for anyone who steps on the court. I think we have to start trusting Shire more too. Up next, Kentucky comes in at number 5 in our ADJeff team rankings. If you're looking for a team that can compete for a title, look no further. Kentucky's got the talent, and they're adding some serious depth for next season. Let's talk Kentucky. They start with Otega Oweh, ranked 4th nationally with a 5.4 ADJeff score among returners. Oweh is a dynamic wing player who can do it all: score, defend, rebound. His versatility will be a huge asset for Kentucky. If he reaches his full potential, he should be an All-American candidate. Oweh is going to be a star for them. Then there's Jasper Johnson, a top incoming recruit with a 3.9 ADJeff score. Johnson's got great size and skill on the perimeter, and his scoring ability is going to boost Kentucky's offense. Expect him to make an immediate impact. Johnson's athleticism is off the charts, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare for defenses. Brandon Garrison comes in with a 3.7 ADJeff score, ranked 76th nationally. He's a big body in the paint with strong rebounding and shot blocking abilities. He'll provide much needed size and physicality for Kentucky's front court and should have more of a runway next season. Akadin Lewis, another high school standout with a 3.7 projected ADJeff score, is also joining the roster. He brings scoring and athleticism, and he'll make an impact right away. Lewis adds more depth and scoring. And rounding out the group is Malachi Moreno with a 3.5 projected ADJeff score. He's a solid player with great fundamentals, capable of stretching the floor and adding depth to the backcourt. With this mix of high school recruits and returning players, Kentucky looks stacked for the 2025-26 season. They've got length, athleticism, and depth. If the coaching staff can get these pieces to come together, Kentucky could be primed for a serious run at a national title. Illinois comes in at number 6 in our ADJeff team rankings with a solid 4.5 score. This team is a real mix of experience and serious upside, and they're going to be a tough matchup for anyone next season. Illinois is loaded, and leading the charge is Tomislav Ivisic with a 4.9 ADJeff score, 8th nationally among returners. This big man is no joke. His post play is dominant, and he can stretch the floor. The biggest question is, will he declare for the draft? If he does, Morez Johnson with a 4.6 ADJeff score, he's a legit player, and Illinois is lucky to have him back to offset some of the losses. Hopefully the way Ivisic shoots Underwood can find a way to get them on the court more together. Johnson is productive and grades out highly. The question is, can they find him minutes? You got two guys who can control the paint. And let's not forget about Trey White with a 3.7 ADJeff score. White's an athlete and a scorer, but not a shooter. Shooting or not, he grades out 81st among returners. Then there's Kylan Boswell, ranked 100th nationally among returners with a 3.5 ADJeff score. Quick, savvy, and capable of creating for his teammates. The shooting, however, is atrocious. The good news is he's been around 34% for his career, so that should improve. Boswell is a floor general. The guy is capable of running the offense and making things happen. And we can't forget about Dara Gibbs-Lawhorn. His 2.9 ADJeff score might not jump off the page, but his hustle and defense are exactly what Illinois needs from their backcourt depth. With all this talent, Illinois has the size, skill, and athleticism to compete with anyone. The problem is the fit. Getting some more shooting will be key, but I'm bet against Illinois being as good last year, so this is as much about him as a coach. There are still talented pieces here to work with if Ivisic returns. The thing people need to understand is how much talent is potentially leaving college basketball. Moving on, let's talk about Mississippi State, sitting at number 7 in the ADJeff team rankings with a strong 4.6 score. They're bringing back a lot of talent and firepower. This is a team that could really make some noise next season. Starting with Kashawn Murphy, ranked 7th nationally with a 5.2 ADJeff score. Murphy is a statistical nightmare in the post to put up the numbers he does in the SEC. Throw in Josh Hubbard and Michael Nwoko, both with 4.4 ADJeff scores, ranked in the top 30 returners, and you've got a balanced attack. Hubbard is a smooth scorer with great vision, while Nwoko is a physical force in the paint. Both of them are key pieces. Hubbard is a guard that can score in bunches, and Nwoko will keep opponents on their toes with his rebounding and defense. Mississippi State's got the firepower for sure. And don't sleep on Riley Kugel, ranked 97th with a 3.5 ADJeff score. He's got that scoring punch off the bench and will be another weapon in their backcourt. He'll contribute in a big way. Then there's Sean Jones Jr., ranked 202nd, with a 2.7 ADJeff score. Not the highest ranked, but he's still in the top 225 returners. He's the type of player who can step in and give you solid minutes when needed. Mississippi State has a ton of talent and continuity where it matters at point guard. Moving on to Texas Tech, coming in at number 8 in the ADJeff rankings with a solid 4.1 team score. This team is built to compete at a high level, athletic, explosive, and defensive-minded. At the top of the list is J.T. Toppin, ranked first nationally with a ridiculous 6.3 ADJeff score. This guy is driving the rankings. Toppin is a game changer who may not return even with him not falling in the top 40 on ESPN. It wouldn't shock me. If he does return, he should be the hands-down player of the year favorite. The only thing slowing him down is his minutes, but that actually gives Texas Tech more upside if or when McCaslin plays him more. If he were playing closer to 30 minutes, his current ADJeff would be closer to 7.0. and well above anyone returning. And right behind him is Darian Williams, ranked 24th among returners with a 4.5 ADJeff score. Williams is a versatile wing. He'll score, rebound, and defend. He's another player I was surprised wasn't in the top 40 on ESPN's mock draft. And then there's Christian Anderson, ranked 149th with a 3.1 ADJeff score. Anderson is going to run the show in the backcourt, likely with more of a facilitating role next year. He's got the experience now. And last but not least, Kevin Overton, ranked 213th returning with a 2.6 ADJeff score. He might not be as flashy, but he's got the hustle and energy that every team needs. With all these guys returning, Texas Tech has the pieces to make a serious run. They've got the defense, athleticism, and depth to compete with the best. If they can put it all together, watch out. Having the best player that can return would put them in a great position to start the season. All right, let's talk about UConn as they enter the 2025-26 season. They're sitting at 9th in the ADJeff rankings with a solid 4.3 team score. This team should be ready to make another deep tournament run. This team is stacked. The big name, of course, is Terrace Reed Jr., ranked 16th among returners with a 4.8 ADJeff score. He's a game changer, versatile, strong on both ends of the floor. He's only playing 20 minutes a game currently, but he's super productive and capable of more, even it seems. Hurley kept Klingan's minutes low, so perhaps that will hold him back from more acclaim. He's shown a lot this year. Reed's presence is massive. He's got the potential to be one of the top players in the nation if the minutes are there. And don't forget about Darius Adams, the incoming freshman with a 3.9 projected ADJeff score as a 5-star recruit. And don't sleep on Solo Ball either, ranked 94th with a 3.5 ADJeff score. He's got potential to be a solid scorer and playmaker. Ball's one of those guys who can step in and give them a nice scoring punch when needed. He'll have a big role in UConn's rotation, especially with that challenging Big East schedule looming. And then you've got Eric Rebe and Braylon Mullins, both coming in as top 50 freshmen. And then there's Jalen Stewart, ranked 265th among returners with a 2.4 ADJeff score. Not quite at the top of the rankings, but he'll provide important depth. He could have a bigger impact than expected as the season progresses. UConn has a well-rounded roster, and with these key returners and strong incoming talent, they're definitely one of the top teams in the country. If Reed can perform like he has this year in extended minutes, they're going to be a serious threat again in this watered-down landscape. If everything clicks, they'll be right there in the mix for a championship again. But let's move on to BYU. Coming in at 10th with a 4.5 team ADJeff score. They're looking to make some noise this season. BYU's got a great mix of veterans and newcomers, and A.J. DeBansa is the standout, with a 5.5 projected ADJeff score, which would rate out as a top 3 player, overall being a top recruit. He's got dynamic scoring, athleticism, and versatility. I think he could immediately be one of the top players in the nation, with all the players likely to exit D1. In many cases, 50% of the top 50 league players were seniors or super seniors. It will be noticeable unless the NCAA changes the rules. DeBansa's arrival is a game changer for BYU either way. That kind of star power doesn't come around often for the Cougars. But don't forget about Richie Saunders, ranked 35th among returners with a 4.3 ADJeff. He's a versatile guard who can stretch the floor and play great defense. Saunders is going to be one of the leaders, no doubt, and should help DeBansa early. Saunders will be pivotal for BYU. His leadership and ability to impact the game on both ends will be huge. Keba Keita, ranked 64th with a 3.9 ADJeff, 64th among returners. Another player to watch, highly productive for his size, who could see a bigger role with Traore gone. And I like Xavier Staten is another top high school recruit. Then there's Kanan Catchings and Dawson Baker, both in the top 200 returners, bringing depth to the squad. They could develop into valuable contributors, and their versatility will be important for the team. BYU's depth could surprise some people. And with Dallin Hall, ranked 292nd with a 2.3 ADJeff, they've got more guard depth. He's not a big name, but if he can contribute consistently, that just adds another layer to this team. Hall was highly ranked by others in the preseason, which hasn't materialized. He's still a solid depth piece, however. All in all, BYU is set for an exciting season. They've got that mix of experience and talent, and if the freshmen live up to expectations, they could be making a run. Definitely one to watch. We're setting the table before the chaos hits. So let's get into it. Who's cracking beyond the top 10? Let's start with Kansas. They're coming into the season with a 4.1 ADJeff team ranking, sitting just outside the top 10 at 11th. As usual, Bill Self's got a squad that can compete at the highest level. The big name here, Flory Bidunga. Bidunga is a potential game changer. He's ranked 9th nationally among returners with a 5.2 ADJeff score, and his size, rebounding, and shot blocking make him a dominant force in the paint. He's going to be a defensive anchor for the Jayhawks right from the jump. He already is this season with a 90 defensive rating. He's got that presence you just can't teach. The only bit of pause is he hasn't done it in bigger minutes yet, but these are his numbers with a minutes adjustment. But he's not alone. Darren Peterson, another projected 5.2 ADJeff player, is joining him. He's built to make an immediate impact. Kansas has a great mix of incoming talent and solid returners. If these freshmen hit the ground running, this team could be a real threat. And let's not sleep on Rylan Griffin with a 2.0 ADJeff score. AJ Storr can return, but I would expect him to transfer. He has been very poor this year, but I still have belief in him getting back to Wisconsin form. All right, let's shift gears to Vanderbilt. They're sitting at 12th with a 4.3 ADJeff team ranking. Not a program that usually makes headlines, but this year they've got some serious pieces returning. Devin McLaughlin is the guy to watch. He's ranked 14th returning with a 4.9 ADJeff score and brings experience, leadership, and toughness. And he's going to be the backbone of this team. He's an undersized center, but it's hard to argue with the production. And Jason Edwards with a 4.6 ADJeff score is right there with him, giving Vanderbilt 2 of the 21 best players returning in the model. There is meat on the bone for both only playing minutes in the mid-20s. Vanderbilt could be sneaky good this season, especially if Byington will play them a little more. Jalen Carey, Tyler Tanner, and Tyler Nickel, all in that 3.1 to 3.3 ADJeff range, give them solid depth, all in the 118th to 144th range. And MJ Collins at 2.2 ADJeff, maybe not a star, but you never know who steps up. There is a lot of continuity here. If this group builds on what it has done this year, Vandy could be a real problem in the SEC next year. Now let's talk Ohio State. They're rolling into the season with a 4.4 ADJeff ranking and a loaded roster. Bruce Thornton is leading the way, ranked 6th best returning player with a 5.2 ADJeff score. He's already a proven leader and should be one of the best guards in the Big Ten, as well as the nation. Thornton is the engine, but Devin Royal, sitting at a 4.6 ADJeff score, is another big-time contributor who is very underrated, and they've got depth too. John Mobley Jr. is at 3.5 ADJeff, and then you've got Sean Stewart and Evan Mahaffey rounding things out in that 3.0 to 3.1 range as well in the top 150 returners. I'm still skeptical of Diebler, but it's hard to argue with the talent. Coming in at 14th, we've got Arkansas, a team sitting on a solid 4.4 team ADJeff ranking. The Razorbacks are looking to keep their momentum rolling into the 2025-26 season with a blend of experienced returners and some high-profile freshmen. First up, we've got Malik Thomas, a freshman with a projected 4.7 ADJeff score. He's one of the biggest names in this incoming class. He's going to be a game changer for Arkansas right out of the gate, which is probably a lot to expect. But let's not forget about Zvonimir Ivasic. He's got a 4.4 ADJeff ranking, which comes in at 29th among returners, and he's already shown he can be a force inside. A 7-footer with skill, that's a recipe for a good team. They've also got freshman Darius Acuff Jr. coming in. And then there's Trevon Brazile, rocking a 3.7 ADJeff 82nd among returners. He's been around, and if he takes that next step, he could be a real X factor for this team. We can't forget about the depth pieces, Billy Richmond III, Carter Knox, and DJ Wagner, who fall in the 230 to 300 range of returners in the model. The continuity, bottom line, Arkansas has weapons. They've got a mix of star power, size, and potential depth. If they put it all together, we're talking about a squad that can really make noise on the national stage. Calipari gets a lot of flack these days, but I think he's got one more good season in him. Now, sitting at 15th with a 4.5 ADJeff team ranking, we've got Baylor. They lost some key players, but they've reloaded with talent that should keep them in the mix. Baylor's not going anywhere as a model of consistency. They've got Josh Ojianwuna, their 25th ranked returner, sitting at 4.5 ADJeff. He's versatile, he's physical, and they're going to need him to be the guy in the paint and on the boards more than he ever has. This is one that rates out well in the model. I would question if he can do that, but until he doesn't, I'll go with it. And then there's Robert Wright, a 4.3 ADJeff returner, and comes in at among the returners. He's got a smooth game, can score, can distribute, and will be a crucial part of this backcourt. He's a star, and I have no question on Wright. Baylor always seems to find these guys who just know how to hoop immediately out of high school. And Tunde Yusufo is probably the next one. Baylor's got that perfect blend of experience and young talent. If these guys develop chemistry, they've got everything they need to make a deep run in the Big 12 next season. Baylor isn't a team you sleep on. They're going to be in the mix. Again, the Tar Heels are sitting at a 4.2 ADJeff team ranking. They've lost some talent, but they're bringing back a strong core, and they've got some exciting newcomers who could make an immediate impact. Dare I say losing R.J. Davis might not even be the worst thing the way he has shot the ball this season. It was very Caleb Love-esque at times, shooting them out of games. Vin Allen Lubin is one of those key returners, right? He's ranked 47th with a 4.1 ADJeff score. My model loves him as always, and if you follow my work, you know he has elite true shooting and offensive ratings nationally, the best defensive rating, BPM, etc. on UNC. Hubert never plays him, though, so it wouldn't shock me if he did transfer. We've seen him play a bigger role well in the SEC. He's been good everywhere he's been and wasn't the issue on this team. And then there's Caleb Wilson, one of the most hyped recruits in the class. If Lubin does return, I really like this potential pairing. Wilson had made 34 threes at 34% in high school as of this recording. He's exactly the kind of guy you want to pair with his size. Wilson is the kind of guy who can elevate UNC back to national relevance. The question is, how quickly does he adjust? If he hits the ground running, this team could be a problem. He did coach a team that made the championship game as well as a Sweet 16. I don't think you can do that and not be a competent coach at times. As for the supporting cast, Seth Trimble, Jalen Washington, and Elliot Cadeau all bring depth. Cadeau with ADJeff scores in the 96th to 140th of returners. There's a lot of and good depth here. Bottom line, UNC has the talent to contend, but it depends on how the new pieces fit. If Wilson is as good as advertised, I could see UNC being back in the mix. All right, let's move on to Florida. They're ranked 17th nationally with a 3.7 ADJeff team score. This is the surprise team of this past season, but now they have to reload. Florida's a solid team, but I'm not sure they have that elite guy to push them over the top. Elijah Martin is their best player, ranked 34th with a 4.3 ADJeff score. He's got the talent to be a top SEC player, but he needs to be the guy every night. And then there's Thomas Hoff, ranked 40th with a 4.2 ADJeff score. Hoff is reliable, steady contributor, does the little things right, but he's not a game breaker. The Gators need Martin to be dominant and for Hoff to step up as well. Ruben Chinyelu is another name to watch. He's ranked 108th among returners with a 3.4 ADJeff score. He's going to give them some defensive presence and rebounding. Florida's issue is depth. They need a couple of these guys to step up beyond expectations. So, contender or pretender? Florida looks a lot thinner this year as of today, but there are still guys here. Borderline contender. They've got talent, but they need a breakout star. If Martin delivers, they can make some noise. Let's talk Iowa State. They're ranked 19th nationally with a 3.5 ADJeff team score. The Cyclones are an interesting team. They've got Joshua Jefferson, who's ranked 8th with a 5.2 ADJeff score. That's elite territory. So is he the guy for them? No doubt. Jefferson is a bucket getter, but he's also an all-around impact player on both sides of the ball. He's elite. And then there's Tamin Lipsey, ranked 99th among returners with a 3.5 ADJeff score. Lipsey is a solid complementary piece. Good playmaker, solid defender. If he plays his role well, Iowa State could surprise some people. What about Milan Momkilovic? He's ranked 151st with a 3.0 ADJeff score. He's more of a depth piece. If he steps up, great. But this team lives and dies with Jefferson. So how high is Iowa State's ceiling? Much higher than the rankings because of their defense, which isn't fully captured. The problem with ranking them higher at this point is they don't have the post players to justify it. They also lost their best defensive guard, so this feels like the proper spot currently until they backfill like we all should expect them to do. Now, moving on to Alabama. They're 19th with a 3.4 ADJeff team ranking. Alabama looks strong. They've got some solid pieces returning, plus recruits to keep the momentum going. Aiden Holloway is one to watch this season, ranked 45th returning with a 4.1 ADJeff score. He's got scoring ability and versatility. He will need to step up as the leader. The guy I'm most excited about on this team is Labaron Philon, ranked 65th among returners with a 3.9 ADJeff score. Will also bring a lot to the table. He's got playmaking skills and can score when needed. That 1-2 punch in the backcourt is huge for Alabama. And don't forget Davian Hanna and Jaron Stevenson. Hanna's a 3.2 ADJeff ranked recruit, and Stevenson, although ranked 236th with a 2.5 ADJeff, could surprise us off the bench. He has the pedigree. There's still potential there. Holloway and Philon are the guys to keep an eye on, and Nate Oates is one of the best in the game. Moving on to UCLA, sitting at 20th with a solid 3.9 ADJeff team ranking. They've got a nice mix of returners and recruits. Tyler Bilodeau and Eric Daly Jr., both with 4.4 ADJeff scores, both rating out in the top 30 of returners. Bilodeau's versatility is huge. He can do it all. And Daly, man, he's a force in the front court. Bilodeau and Daly are going to be the foundation for UCLA. Then we've got Sebastian Mack and Sky Clark. They'll provide depth in the backcourt, and both will look to make their mark this year. Mack's athleticism and scoring ability will be huge, while Clark's playmaking and leadership will help keep the offense flowing smoothly. UCLA's got balance and is definitely positioned to make some noise in the Pac-12. And don't forget Dylan Andrews. He's ranked 337th with a 2.1 ADJeff score, but he could provide some valuable minutes off the bench. With a deep roster, UCLA has a lot of options. They won't just be contenders, they'll be a team to beat. Now let's talk Iowa. They're ranked 21st with a 3.8 team ADJeff score and have a solid mix of returners and exciting new talent. Owen Freeman is the guy to watch, ranked 23rd among returners with a 4.5 ADJeff score. He's a beast in the post. His size and skill set will be key for Iowa this season. Freeman's going to be huge for them. He has the size to dominate, and he's got the skill to back it up. Then there's Josh Dix, ranked 80th among returners with a 3.7 ADJeff. He'll bring scoring and leadership, especially in the backcourt. Freeman and Dix will be the driving force for Iowa. And don't forget about Joshua Lewis. The incoming freshman could make an immediate impact. Iowa has a good mix of experience and fresh talent. They're in a solid position to compete with Freeman and Dix leading the charge. But don't sleep on the depth. Players like Brock Harding, Price Sanford, and Seydou Traore will be critical in giving them the support they need. Next up, the Wisconsin Badgers. They're ranked 3.4 ADJeff, and while they don't have the same star power as some other teams, they've got a solid squad. Nolan Winter ranked 19th with a 4.8 ADJeff score returning, is definitely the player that is undervalued by most with a nearly 40-point net differential. Winter's a game changer. He's going to be the guy who makes everything click for Wisconsin. Then you got John Blackwell, ranked 52nd, returning with a 4.0 ADJeff score. That's the Wisconsin way. Strong fundamentals and a team-first mentality. They may not have the flashiest roster, but don't count them out. With Winter and Blackwell leading the way, they'll be right in the mix. All right, let's talk St. John's Red Storm. They're entering the season ranked 23rd, with a solid ADJeff team ranking of 3.4. They've got some big names returning who could really make a difference this season. Zuby Ejiofor is definitely one to watch. Ranked 32nd among returners with an impressive 4.3 ADJeff score, he's going to be a key presence on both ends of the floor. The guy can finish at the rim, grab boards, and provide some much-needed defensive stability. He's exactly the type of player you need when you're trying to make noise in a tough conference. Plus, R.J. Luis Jr. coming in at 42nd with a 4.2 ADJeff score adds more firepower to the roster. His versatility and scoring ability will be huge for St. John's. St. John's has a solid mix of size, athleticism, and defensive intensity. If these two lead the charge, I think St. John's could really make a statement in the Big East this season. Hey, and they got one of the legends of the game coaching. It's pretty remarkable at 72 years old that he has taken over a program that hasn't won a championship in 20 years, and as we sit here today is likely to win the Big East. Texas A&M originally put up 24th in my model, but this is one I'm skeptical of. It was mostly because of Farrell Payne's outstanding per-possession numbers. They could be elite, but I have no faith. Buzz Williams will play him enough for them to be. He'll run the same system playing 10 players, I suspect, and he hasn't got 10 players right now. Let's move Missouri there now. Ranked 24th with an ADJeff team score of 3.5, they're looking like another contender for a solid season. Mark Mitchell, ranked 48th with a 4.1 ADJeff score returning, is going to be the focal point. Then there's Anthony Robinson II, ranked 54th among returners with a 4.0 ADJeff score. His ability to create plays and contribute on both ends is another big win for Missouri. But you add that to Mitchell's leadership, and you've got a solid duo right there. And Trent Pierce, ranked 107th with a 3.4 ADJeff score. He's going to be one of those depth guys who brings the energy and toughness. Missouri's got a strong rotation, and these guys are going to help them battle in the SEC. If you are putting anyone at 25 Auburn, just the way they are rolling through this season and likely returning to Hyde Pettiford, who doesn't appear in the mock, with a 4.3 ADJeff ranking. You know, he's got game that's 37th among returners, and he seems capable of more. He's a dynamic scorer and facilitator, probably going to be one of the top players in the SEC this year. And I think you just have to expect Pearl to figure it out. He will have to, though, because there isn't a lot here. Just missing out of the top 25, you got teams I would also expect to figure it out with Gonzaga, Marquette, and Tennessee. They have some intriguing players returning like Huff, Ross, and Okpara returning, who all rank in the top 125 returning players. Just not enough of them currently to justify a higher ranking. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Resource Nexus podcast. Don't forget to check out the full articles on the Resource Nexus website, linked in the description. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps out. As always, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.
Cool. Guess we'll see you around.
All right, check you later.
Bye.
Wait, man, why are you always such a dork, man? What are you talking about? Check you later. Check you later.